Okay, good morning and welcome to this short tutorial. A very short flight in Boeing 777 from Ramzzess Productions for X-Plane. This time we are seated here at Van Nuys Airport runway 16 right with engines running configuration, so everything is set for takeoff. Well, not set for takeoff, but engines are already running. And I'm going to show you or demonstrate a really short flight from Van Nuys to San Diego. So we will begin by first of all, let's don't forget to untick this custom failures, and I'm gonna select dual queue flight director here in the main menu, and in the weight and fuel menu I'm gonna put some less weight because we have too much weight for this show flight. Probably only 142 pounds will be more than enough. Let's increase the payload weight a little bit, 425. Okay, that's I think enough. Yeah, all right. 19.2 thousand pounds. Okay, that's good. Okay, in the overhead panel we need to make sure that no smoking is set to on, seatbelt on, landing lights on, fuel pumps here off because we don't have any fuel in the center tank, anti-ice selectors auto, beacon and navigation light on, runway turn off, lights on, taxi light on, and okay, going down to the MCP area, I'm gonna clear the caution, reset the minimums, turn on flight path vector, and set the QNH. Let me check real quick what the QNH at Van Nuys right now is. Van Nuys, it says 2985, okay. 2985, 840, that looks okay to me. Okay, I'm gonna switch these VOR selectors on, traffic on, airports on, and weather on, flight director on, auto throttle armed. I'm gonna put the runway track here off. 161 time. Okay, 161. This to 1000, and I'm gonna select here 17,000, which is gonna be my cruise altitude. Okay, click the dot here to remove the secondary engine indications because those are not real, and switch the cancel button, and the only message that we have is the auto brake message, which at this time is okay. Okay, clock is okay, primary flight display looks okay, navigation display looks okay, ICAS screen looks good, auto brake message to RTO, FMC selector to auto. Okay, now we will set flaps to 5, speed brake forward, thrust levers are idle, flaps already 5 selected, parking brake is set, trim is on the green band, which is okay. Transponder, let me put here a fictional number 56521 TIRA, and radar trim is set to 0, which is okay. Alright, all set now. CDU programming real quick. Positioning it is already set, so we're going straight to the route page. Van Nuys to San Diego. Okay, and there is no route, it's just the departure and arrival, so I'm gonna select departure from runway 16 right is the Glen 1 departure, and as this is a very short flight, I'm gonna select the arrival right now. So arrival Bayview 3, not transition for an ILS to runway 9 from Sarge. Actually, let's make it from Gato. Okay. So route, activate, execute, and let me check here. Departure procedure with the Glendale 1 departure says, and it says takeoff runway 16 right, climb on a heading of 160, which is more or less runway heading, yes, cross the Fillmore radial 102 or Van Nuys 2.2 DME. Okay, so I'm gonna select in the fixed page here Van Nuys VOR, and I'm gonna select 2.2 DME arc. Okay, so you see here, this is the point they need us to turn to a heading of 110. So Let me see here. It says, let me put here this in plan mode. Okay, 16 right, then 160 heading and 50 nautical miles. Oh, what's okay, so this point right here, which is 15 nautical miles away, and that is wrong because our departure only says 2.2. So I cannot use the departure as coded in the FMC. Something is wrong with that, so I'm gonna use manual departure. That means after takeoff 400 feet radio altimeter, I'm gonna select heading hold here because I'm gonna be flying on a runway heading, so I'm gonna select heading hold, and upon passing this point here, 2.2 DME. Actually we can also check the DME here. Very nice. Let me just select here in manual so it won't change. Very nice. When it shows 2.2 DME or at this point, I'm gonna switch to heading of 110. So I'm gonna select heading select, and I'm gonna preset 110 here. Alright, let me continue check the route. Now comes the arrival. This is a very short route, so immediately after the SID comes the star, which is Bayview 3 RNAV star. And from Hubbard it goes, let me check again one more time here to plan. Okay, vectors to Adam, okay, and Hubbard. From that point to Bayview to cross at 16,000, 14,000, okay, then to LCOV at 9,000, it's okay, Stephen at 7,000, it's okay, Clom at 6,000 with 210 knots, that's okay, and after that the 090 track for vectors, which is okay. And for the approach from GAT, so that's a procedure tune basically. We wouldn't need that because we're coming from the north. Anyway, I'm gonna just leave that for now, and I'm gonna continue with the programming of this thing. So I'm gonna select performance. Hold on, let me put the flight number 777 here. Performance initialization, reserve 6 tons. I'm gonna request my weights. Here they are. Cruise altitude 170 and 170 and coast index of 50. Okay, enable cruise altitude. Why is that? Let me delete this restriction here. I'm aware of the restriction 17,000 or below. Try now. Performance 17,000. Okay, now it works. I don't know what's wrong with these departure procedures, but sometimes they messed up everything. Okay, so let's try 60 degrees here as assumed temperature, which give me a thrust of 97.3, which looks okay. Okay, takeoff CG, request CG is 26%, 5.75 trim, and flaps 5. V speeds unavailable. Okay, that means the weight is very low, so let's go back to thrust limit and let's try takeoff 1. V speeds unavailable. Let's try takeoff 2. Takeoff with flaps 5. Okay, now we have some speeds here. Okay, 105 for V1, 122 for VR, 137 for V2. Okay, and I'm gonna try here 137. Okay, LNAV I'm not gonna use for this departure. VNAV is armed. Heading pre-selected is 110 and initial altitude 17,000. Okay, that's it. The programming of the CDU is complete. Now let's review real quick. Everything is okay. Recall, we don't have any messages. Okay, flaps are set to 5, runway 16 right. V2 is 137 and 137 hit set here on MCP speed window. Toga, only VNAV arm 17,000 initial altitude set and a heading of 110. Okay. Trim is 5.75 and I'm happy as long as this indication here is in a green band, and transponder is on TARA. Okay, and here we have the weather selected on, so we are ready for takeoff. Okay, let's say a good eye point view, which is right about here, so you cannot see lower than the bottom frame of the FS screens. That's a good waypoint, and that's it. We're ready for, so let's go. Parking brake release, throttles to midpoint, takeoff, flight time here, advance the throwers full forward so they don't interfere with the system, and select toga. Read here thrust ref and make sure that the thrust goes effectively to 95.1, whatever the thrust was calculated for us. Okay, rotate. All right, positive climb gear up. 200 feet, autopilot engage. 400 feet, heading hold, thrust ref VNAV speed. Okay. Accelerating now and 2.2 DME, so heading select and turning left to a heading of 110. Okay, passing through flaps 5, accelerating, so I'm just going to select flaps 1. And passing through flap 1 mark and accelerating, so I'm going to select flaps up. Okay, and accelerating to 250 knots. Very good. Flaps up is set, gear is up. Perfect. Okay. Good. Let me increase the range of my map here. Okay, now let's say that ATC says something like climb maintain 6,000 feet. So I'm gonna select 6,000 feet here. All right. So you see 6,000 feet here. Okay, 5,000 climbing 6,000. Speed VNAV alt. I know that he's leveling off at 6,000 feet. And that's an ATC restriction that we just need to enter on the MCP altitude window. And there it is, we are leveled off at 6,000 feet. Okay, now ATC comes back to us and says something like turn right heading 120 and climb maintain 1000. So right heading 120, climb and maintain 1000. So we set 1000 here and we press the button here. So that's it. Now it changes to thrust ref, VNAV speed again, and 1000. So we're climbing to 1000 and we are turning to a heading of 120. Alright, now how about ATC telling us to turn right direct to hover position right here. So I'm gonna select my legs page on the CDU. I'm gonna select hover down to the scratch path area and then put it on the first line here, and this is how it looks like. So it's okay, it's what I need. So I'm gonna execute that change and I'm gonna select LNAV here. So now I'm turning direct to hybrid position and I'm again in LNAV with the VNAV speed. Okay, I always have to accompany any turn with the heading back in the 777. Alright, perfect. And now it says climb and maintain 17,000. Okay, so 17,000, which is our cruise altitude, 17,000. So I'm okay with that. Okay, passing 10,000, now it's accelerating, and we can turn off landing lights, runway turn off, taxi lights, and seatbelt back to auto. Okay, in the meantime, let's prepare for arrival because this is a very short flight here. So let's review. We reviewed that all of this was okay. However, look what is going on here. The star will take us basically to near the airport area and then to the east, and that's because it's expecting a west arrival to runway 27, but as I am planning on arrival to runway 9 here, probably at some point we will have a vector towards this point here for an towards Gato position, yes, for the arrival. So that will shorten our route a lot. So we have to have that into consideration. Okay, let's check what's the frequency here for the ILS. It's 111.55, which is set here, and the final approach course is 092, which is okay. Fixes, we don't need this one anymore, and we don't need this one, and we can delete our viewer selected course or selected radio and put it back to auto. And what else do we need? Our speed here, VREF speed for flap steady is gonna be 140, so we will select that here. Now we need to check the QNH. Let me check the QNH real quick for San Diego. It says the 2983, so we can go ahead and select 2983 right now. Okay, minimums, ILS runway 9er 353. I'm gonna set. Okay, so we press the reset button here, and it's a radio altimeter. We don't want that. We will turn this to baro, and we'll set the minimums of 360. 360, there it is. Okay. All right, and auto brake. Let me see. The runway in San Diego is 9,400 meters long. I'm gonna use auto brake 3. Even though our landing weight is really low today, it's only 181 tons. I still want to make sure that we have enough runway for landing, so I'm just gonna set auto brake to 3. Okay, here we are. We're speed and VNAV path now, so we are reaching cruise altitude. Yeah, cruise altitude is there, and top of the send point says at 1628, so that's about in 6 minutes. Okay, if you are in cruise and you need to do a step climb, just set your new cruise altitude, let's say 190. Just set that here and push the button, and that will do it. Right now I'm not gonna do that because we are already close to our descent point. So once we are approaching our top of descent point, we need to request ATC for our altitude. So I'm gonna ask ATC, and ATC will probably tell us something like, okay, descent maintain 9,000. So I'm gonna preset 9,000 here. Okay, and that's it. That's all we have to do, and then I'm just gonna wait until we get to the top of the descent point, and we should begin our descent. Okay, there it is, top of the descent point, and now we have this descent profile here, and the airplane is effectively leaving flight level 170, descending to 900 initially. Okay, let's say ATC tell us turn right heading 160, so I'm gonna head and select here and turn right to a heading of 160. All right, and I can see that it's descending very slowly, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select flight level change. Okay, so I have thrust, flight level change, speed. Now it's better. Okay, now let's say the ATC come back to us and say something like continue descent to 4,000 feet. So I'm gonna set 4,000 feet here. Okay, very good. And I have my altitude range arc here, so I can see where I'm gonna level off at 4,000 feet, assuming that I'm maintaining a constant rate of descent. And yeah, it's looks good to me. Okay, I'm gonna decelerate to 250 because Actually, let's try 240 because we need to be 250 or less below 10,000 feet, and we are approaching 10,000 feet also, so I'm gonna select seatbelts back to on, landing lights, runway turn off lights, and taxi lights on. Okay. We should have now some indications of the ILS. I don't know why they don't come up, but in any case, we will just click here to make them active. And again, for landing, make sure that the eye view is correct, and that means not lower than the bottom frame or the F is in view. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little bit hard to see the runway environment. Okay, let me decrease the range here a little bit more. Alright, 240, I think we are a little bit high. Let me see if we select here 2000. Sorry, 2000, okay. No, it looks like just a little bit high. So what can we do if we are a little bit high? Extend the speed brake. So I'm going to extend the speed brake just a little bit here, not fully. Just a little bit. I'm using about 10,000, I mean 10% of the speed brake extended, and that is okay for me. Now let's say ATC tells something like Boeing 777 turn left heading 130. Okay, left heading 130. Okay, let me stop the speed brake and clear discussion. Alright, now I'm in a better profile here. Still don't have indications from the DME, but what I can do is I can set the mission bay MZB. Let's try to set MZB here just to have a rough idea of our DME mission bay. Okay, and we are 19 miles about. That's only a rough idea of our distance. Okay, now let's reduce speed to clean speed, which is marked by this point here, flaps up, so speed 220 knots. Okay, and let's say ATC tell us something like Boeing 777 turn left heading 110, and you're clear for ILS approach, maintain 2000 till established. Okay. Alright, so now we have some indications here of the DME. We are at 19 DME. First India Sierra Alpha November, and that is exactly where is that? India Sierra Alpha November. Yeah, yes. So the ILS is properly identified. 9.2, that's the final approach course, which is okay, and the DME 18.2, which is also okay. 1000 feet to level off, which is also okay. So, under correct signal, correct sensing of the signals. So we are ready to arm the approach. I will just wait a little bit until I have localizer active signal here to arm the approach mode. And we are coming down to 2000 feet very nicely. Okay, localizer is alive. Arm the approach mode, and localizer is already captured. Glide slope is armed. Alright. Okay, and we are intercepting the localizer right now and coming up to 2000 feet. We should set here the runway heading. Okay, and that was 92. Yes, okay. There it is. Alright, speed alt check. Now flaps 1 and flaps 1 speed, which is 200. Perfect. Speed is dropping nicely. Once they come to flap 1 speed, I'm gonna select flaps 5. So right now flaps 5, and again flaps 5 speed, which is 180. Okay, very good. Glide slope is alive, so flaps 20 and flap 20 speed here. Glide slope interception, so landing gear down. Missed approach altitude, which is 3000 feet initially, and speed brake arm. Okay. And now finally, when the gear is down and flaps is 20, flaps 30, and final approach speed, which is VREF 30 plus 5. VREF 30 was 140 plus 5, 145. That's my final approach speed. And now comes the final gate, which is 1000 feet. At 1000 feet above airport elevation, which is 1020 feet only, I need to make sure that we are on the localizer, on the glide slope, on the airspeed with the proper power setting. With the gear down, the flaps 30 and the speed brakes arm and whatever auto brake I choose to use. If something of that is not at when passing 1000 feet, this top of the line right here, if I'm not in the localizer or glide slope or airspeed or with proper power or with flap 30 gear down and a speed brake arm, then go around placing this, selecting this switch here. Nothing to think about. Right now I'm fully configured, so I'm okay to continue. I'm gonna go down to minimums, and minimums I'm gonna disconnect by pressing this switch here twice. The first press is to disconnect the autopilot, the second press is to silence the warning, and then I'm gonna do a manual landing. But once you disconnect the autopilot, it's basically you don't have to do anything, don't touch anything. Just arrest the rate of descent a little bit below 50 knots, and that's kind of a flare, and that's it. So we're approaching to minimums here. The runway is in sight. And here comes minimums, landing, autopilot disengaged, and continue. Okay, don't touch anything, don't change anything. All right. Okay. Okay, and flare just a little bit. All right. Okay, and thrust reversers active. At 60 knots, I'm gonna 60 knots, remove the reversers and continue braking. Speed less than 10 knots because this is not a high speed exit. So there it is, about 10, 11 knots. Okay, and I'm gonna exit the runway right now. All right. Okay, cool. And we do nothing until we have exited the runway. Nothing. Just make sure that we don't go into somebody else. Nothing. Okay. Very good, very good. All right. Okay, looks like we're almost done here. Yes, okay, now we are in the taxiway and we are cleared to taxi to the platform, to the ramp. So now we do the after landing procedures, and that means I'm gonna just put the camera down here a little bit. Stow the speed brake, flaps up, out brake off, get rid of this message here. Now we go to the overhead panel, landing lights off, strobe lights off, and the weather radar also needs to be switched off. Okay, perfect. I have the message auto brake there. That's a bug because auto brake is already set to off, so the message should have disappeared now. Well, no worries. So the only thing left to do, and I'm sorry, I forgot to stop the clock. Yeah, probably our flight time with something about 26 minutes. All right. Okay, so now the only thing left is to start the APU. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me for this very short flight, and happy landings.